Hello, Divine Feminine. It is Friday and it is your Divine Feminine reading today. This is specifically for you for advice on your spiritual journey, your spiritual path, and your experience, of course, with your Divine Masculine. So we'll go ahead and get into this reading here. I'm using my Alice in Wonderland deck for you guys today. Alice in Wonderland has a special meaning for me. I love the spiritual message and story behind Alice in Wonderland. It was something that I didn't realize, like, how deep the spiritual message was within this cartoon until I went through a spiritual awakening myself. And then I suddenly realized how much wisdom there was embedded in this cartoon and what it was really about. Alice in Wonderland is on a spiritual journey, and she has fallen into a land where she can't remember who she is and she doesn't know where she's going. And she suddenly, she encounters all kinds of, characters that teach her things and confuse her, and really she's dreaming and she doesn't realize that she's dreaming. She thinks that she's just kind of fallen into this like crazy universe. Well, it's very similar to what we're all experiencing. We're all just like Alice in Wonderland, and we, those of us that are lucky, are being woken up, right? We're becoming lucid in the dream, which is exactly what happened when you met your Divine Masculine. You became lucid in the dream. You are awakening to the fact that this is actually a dream, and that when you become lucid within it, everything is under your control, right? You learn how to play the game, Divine Feminine. So I'll ask you this question before I start. Do you know how to play the game? Do you know? And if you don't, are you looking at it through the right lens, the right perspective? All right, what is your current situation, Divine Feminine? Your current situation is Judgment in the reverse. So if you guys have not already, please like and subscribe. It helps us a lot with the algorithm, and it is so appreciated by us. With Judgment in the reverse, you are in a place right now of potential denial. That doesn't mean it's intentional denial. It just means that you might have some filters and some masks that you're seeing the world through and acting in the world through. But you just haven't really become aware of them yet. So that could put you in a place of denial, an inability to be able to see things with clarity for the way that they really truly are. Because there's, truth, and then there's the perception of truth, right? So sometimes getting to the actual truth of things is very, very difficult because of all the layers of perception that we have about what truth is. So you could be fearing certain changes. You may feel like you're not at your strongest point in life right now. You may feel somewhat weak toward your journey, toward your Divine Masculine, toward relationships in your life. You might not feel like you're standing in your power, but I think that that is all a result of those filters that you're seeing life through. And that is the purpose of your awakening, is to wake you up and help you to see what those filters are so that you can get rid of the ones that don't work well for you, right? It's not that it's bad. It's just that that's your creative power, and you got to manifest the life you want. So you got to learn, what am I painting my reality with? Like, what kinds of colors, what kind of tools, like what tool brush am I, or paintbrush am I using? What canvas am I using? What image am I trying to create? And am I actually achieving the image that I want? Or am I subconsciously painting a picture that I don't really actually want? Challenges that you're going to face, Divine Feminine. Challenges that you are going to face along your path are... challenges that you're going to run into are going to be kind of interesting because, of course, you've got the challenges of overcoming your own limiting belief systems, right? But as you do this, you're going to find that you're going to start seeing things from more of a realistic truth, right? Not individual perception of truth, but rather just things as they truly are. And as you are able to develop this superpower, there are going to be those around you that don't particularly like your take on things, okay? Your take on things isn't really the right way to say it. How do I explain this? You're going to be speaking from a place of truth, and it's going to be pure, and it's going to resonate. And when you speak from a place that's pure and truthful, that resonates, that goes beyond people's takes on it, which is why I rephrase that, because people's takes on things is just perception of reality, right? When you're speaking in the actual truth of things, like that sacred truth, it is going to trigger a lot of people around you. Why? Because it's going to cause them to start doubting their own filters. They don't even know that they have them. And so it's not going to be in alignment with what they think reality actually is. And it's going to bother them. There's going to be people that are going to have negative energy toward you. They're going to be jealous, envious. They're going to be frustrated and angry. And then there's going to be others that are going to gravitate you like a moths toward like a flame. You are going to resonate with them so much. They're going to really just kind of want to be around you all the time. And this could actually also siphon your energy to a certain degree, but it could also give you energy. Okay. So this is going to be an interesting experience for you because it's going to be very positive and somewhat negative. However, I think you're going to have the tools in order to be able to turn negatives into positives in your life as this starts to happen, because you're going to see the bigger picture. I forgot to give you guys your number today. So you have 4 and 1. 2 of my favorite numbers, of course. 144 is the number that I see all the time. So you have, 5, you have 41, 14. Yeah, there you go. There's your number for today. If any of those things resonate or make sense to you. For me, 1 and 4s are always relevant. These are the numbers to me that have the most significant meaning, 1s and 4s. So that's pretty cool. All right, so your next card is going to give you a little bit of insight into what you need to focus on. So let's see what we have here. We have 5 of Pentacles in reverse. So 5 of Pentacles in reverse means that focusing on making sure that you spend enough time on kind of the 3D things of life, the everyday things of life. Sometimes when we're going through like a spiritual awakening, we can dive so far into that world that our normal day-to-day lives can start to suffer. We have a very difficult time paying attention to, those, they just doesn't seem as important, but they still are important because balance is important in order to keep ourselves in a place of like a healthy mindset, a healthy emotional state. relationships with others, being able to take care of ourselves and those around us. We need to have balance. And so we need to make sure that even though we may be going through the dark night of the soul, or we may be really hyper focused on spiritual development, that we're still giving ourselves time to do the normal day-to-day things, like get our houses clean, organize, take, spend time with people that we care about, keep those connections open, paying our bills, even, self-care. Self-care is something that really, really helps us a lot. So that is something that you really need to make sure that you keep balanced in your life while you're going through all these other changes. It's just gonna help you to give yourself the time that you need in order to feel good about your position and where you're at. Just to keep your stress levels down. What is in your past, and what is it that you're leaving behind? Ooh, for this we have the Tower. Okay, so this shows me that there was something and has been something going on that you are going to be leaving behind that stems from unwanted change, a big upheaval in your life. Maybe you were embarrassed about something. Maybe you have felt disgraced by something. There could have even been potential like violence in your life. This is a hardcore card that shows that you've been through some extraordinarily difficult times. Some of them your own doing, and some that were done to you. But you're leaving this behind. Whatever you think that the judgments of others are, however you think that they perceive you, what you perceive about yourself, all of these things are changing and being transmuted through your spiritual alchemy so that you can see yourself with that truth that we're talking about, right? Not as you perceive things to be, but how things really are. When we see things for how they really are, we see around our ego, right? And when we can see around our own ego into our own divine nature and beauty, and that value is already set and cannot be taken from you, we can see that in others as well. And so even when they may be judging us or looking at us through a certain, well, you did this and you did that. Well, you know what? You're not worried about it anymore because you know who you truly are, and you know who they truly are, and you know that they're just talking through their own filters, their own perception, and their own mask if they haven't become awakened yet. Anyone who's going to judge you or look at you a certain way and not see you with the clarity, they haven't gone through A, what you've been through, and B, they haven't gone through an awakening. They don't know their own divinity, so they can't see yours. So they're still in a place of like judgment because the ego is what judges, and they're functioning through the ego. Undoubtedly, they're functioning through the ego if that's how they're seeing you or anyone else. Because when we've gone through a spiritual awakening, we don't see others that way anymore, and we don't see ourselves that way. It's because we've achieved a certain level of spiritual maturity. And it's okay that they haven't gotten there yet. They will eventually. So you're able to forgive them more freely and understand that they're still going through their evolutionary process, as are you, regardless of where we're at on it. It doesn't matter. No one's really truly ahead or behind of anyone else, right? Because we're all going through it in our own order and our own way. Okay, so we can never judge ourselves or against others. We can never judge others against ourselves. The ego always, always, always tries to do that, but it's just it's the programming that comes from the ego. It's not the true self. So that's what you're going to be leaving behind is judgments of others. You're not going to be worried about anymore because you're going to have a much higher understanding. Strengths, divine feminine. What are your strengths? Nine of Wands. Keeping and maintaining boundaries. If there's ever been a period of time in your life where you or even now that you don't feel like you're very good with boundaries, this is actually a strength of yours that is either already developed, has been, the foundation's been being laid in order to like cause you to leap into this, or you've already noticed that it's starting. You're like at those stages of recognizing what your boundaries actually are. As you go through this period of enlightenment and transformation, you're really going to know who you are, and you're going to understand things from such an elevated perspective. You're going to know, you're going to be tapped into your intuition. You're going to know what your boundaries are, and you're not going to allow others to cross them. Now, that doesn't mean we're mean to others when they attempt to, because we at that point, we're like, okay, well, that's just their ego. We set the boundary, we do it lovingly and kindly, but we can also be like ferocious if we need to be. But it's always coming from like that higher elevated place. We're not degrading ourselves or sinking down to somebody else's level. We're not meeting them where they're at. What we're doing is we're demanding to be treated for the, like, from the divine, for the divine being that we are. And we're saying to them, look, you're also a divine being, and you should not only try to degrade my divinity, but when you try to degrade my divinity, you're also degrading your own, because you're better than that too. It's holding people to a higher standard of not being wrapped up in our egos. It's really causing people to have to step into their own power too, which is exactly what we want, right? If we enable others to do dirty deeds and to act in ways that are harmful, without saying something about it, right? Or sometimes it's not even appropriate to say something about it. Sometimes it's appropriate to remain silent, but to not participate, right? So that's actually very often the case. I get into Twitter every once in a while, and I start to like read things, and I'll get triggered by certain things that I read, and I'm like, that's not cool, that's not cool. And then my instinct is to want to like say something, but then as soon as I say something, then someone says something back to me, and then I want to say something back to them, and it turns into this like thing, this tit for tat. They only want to prove their point, I only want to prove my point, and all I've done now is fall into this trap of trying to debate something that really is not worth my time or my energy. So sometimes the absolute appropriate thing to do is to just not engage, not participate, and not take a side. That could be a boundary. Because boundaries are not just us putting boundaries up for others, but sometimes it's also putting boundaries up for ourselves. I'm not participating in that. I'm not listening to those thoughts. I'm not going to buy into this particular idea that I'm not good enough, smart enough, or cool enough, or that other people don't like me. It's boundaries that are being developed within you to give you the clarity that you need to stand in your truth of power, okay? And all of our truth of power is the same. It all comes from the same source. We are all one at the core, which is why there should be no judgment. Again, ego, separation consciousness that stems from ego is what causes judgment. You're good, I'm bad, you're good. This is better than that's better, and this is not okay. And, you know, that's all ego. The truth is we should all treat each other with love, kindness, and respect. But sometimes we have to put boundaries up, and for ourselves and for others. And if we need to be, we can be ferocious. It's two sides of one coin. Duality is something that can be collapsed into a singularity when we recognize that both sides of the coin are valuable. Okay, that is singularity. And seeing that the two are actually one. All right, near future, divine feminine, near future. You have Four of Cups in reverse. So with Four of Cups in reverse, you are going to really be stepping into a new outlook, and your life is going to be taking a new direction. New options are going to be showing up for you. Okay, new options are going to be showing up for you that you may have interest in. Things you didn't even realize you were capable of. Doors of opportunity that you didn't even realize were available to you as options. This is all because you are vibrating at a higher frequency, and so you are attracting different opportunities and experiences, Divine Feminine. Different people, different situations are all starting to show up for you. And this is 100% a result of your inner change. So your external world is changing around you. What is your advice from Source? Advice from Source. My cards are sticky. Come on, cards. There you go. Advice from Source. You have a strong desire for a solid connection with someone else. The advice from Source is to go to Source for this connection. Marriage, family, intimate relationships, a real, true, solid, binding connection. Source knows the hearts and minds of every man and woman on this planet. Source knows exactly who is the right person for you. You have to trust that Source will bring that right person for you right now in the divine timing that is meant for you. Oftentimes our mind goes, no, it has to be this person, that person, this person, that person. It has to show up this way, that way, this way, that way. We, through the ego and through the mind, cannot see very far ahead. There's limitation there. But Source, God, the one your soul is connected to and comes from, can see all the way to the end. There's no limitation there. And so we must go to Source for that and say, who is, or please bring me the divine one that I am meant to be with. The divine one. Okay? Now, don't look at this through the ego, because I know divine feminines out there are going to say, well, yep, it's supposed to be my twin flame. But then your mind has all these ideas on your twin flame and what and who and how and when and if and what it should look like and how it should be. That is all stuff you have to let go of. Okay? It is all stuff you have to let go of. I'm not saying that you have to let go of it because it's not your twin flame that is your divine one. What I'm saying is you have to let go of all the ideas of what, who, how, when, and if, and just put 100% open-hearted, open-minded faith into Source to know who is the right one for you. And when you do that, you are balancing out that divine feminine and divine masculine energy within yourself. You're reaching inward, reaching to that heaven within you and tapping into that kingdom within, that divine source within, the God within you, and putting your faith that everything in the outside world is going to show up for you as it should and as it's meant to. And you're saying, look, here's my heart. Please send me what is going to give me the very best life and experience possible. And then you have to put all your faith that that source within you can and will do that. Okay, even when things seem like they're out of place, we have to trust that that source, we either trust it or we don't, right? We either trust it or we don't. You cannot serve two masters. You're either serving the ego with your energy or you're tapping into Source with your energy, right? You cannot serve two masters. The truth is, the ego is outside of you, okay? It's all that stuff, that mind stuff. And The source is within you. It is you. Okay. So, so much to unpack with that. I wish I could give you guys more information on that, but we must move on. That's why the group calls are phenomenal, and the coaching system that we're developing is phenomenal, which should, our first series of that should be dropping in September. I'm so excited, you guys. We have just a couple of days left with 40% off personal tarot readings. We have several different ones that you can choose from. You can do an actual live reading with me, where, well, you know, we sit face to face over a Zoom, and it's about 2 hours long, and I can give you as much information as you need and answer questions at the same time. So there's a lot of coaching involved, as well as a tarot reading with any question that you want. That one is wonderful. And right now those are 40% off. We also have, you know, half an hour, 60-minute and 90-minute readings that are done by video. So check out the description box below. That is, July 40 is the coupon code for that. And then we also have 10% off one-on-ones. And you guys, the group calls, you get like so many of those. Let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. You get 8 if you do CM1 or CM2. You get 8 calls a month. And if you do the TFM3, you get 16 calls a month. That is a lot. It's anywhere from $20 to $40. We also have a $30 one in between. So check it out, you guys. It's a really great way to get a lot of personal coaching. So I just want to take a little time to stress that for you, because I really think a lot of you guys could really benefit. We are phasing out the Ask a Question for $10 per question. The Ask a Question, get a video response. We're phasing that out because I think that the group calls are not that much more, and they're just an overall better, you get a lot more bang for your buck with those. All right, so environment, divine feminine. 9 of hold on. Yeah, okay. I believe that this is a 9 of Wands here. Sometimes I forget. Is it Wands or Swords? I believe this is 9 of Wands. Yeah, flowers are wands. Okay, so 9 of Wands. And this means that this one was wrong, you guys. Let me just look at this for a second, because I thought this was 9 of Wands. I'm so sorry for my mix-up. Let me give you a little more information on this, because I believe this is a 9 of Swords, actually. So with 9 of Swords here, which is in the position of strengths, whatever we spoke about was obviously a message that was still meant for you. Mistake, I do not believe in coincidence or chance. If the message was given, it's because some of you needed to hear that. But for me to see this and realize that there was that mistake made, there's something else that needs to come out about strength. So let's take a look at this and see what 9 of Swords kind of means as far as that. So there's going to be some of you that are going to really identify with what I said. Some of you that are going to identify with both things, and then some that will just identify with what I'm about to say, because your strengths could also be in the area of being able to deal with anxiety, overcome like mind nightmarish perspectives, to be able to really handle grief and depression. And I would actually probably venture to say that this has to apply to every freaking twin flame I know, because you cannot go through the seriousness of the dark night of the soul if you don't have that inner strength to guide you through it. I don't even think Source would put you in that position of even meeting your twin flame and going through a dark night of the soul if you couldn't handle or deal with the process of ascension. It happens to you when you're ready. Is it easy? No freaking way. It's not easy. But it's part of your evolution, and it happens in the divine timing that it's meant to for everyone in our own personal evolutionary process. So that is just a little add-on to that because I realized that I made that mistake. So here in this next position, which is environment, now we actually have 9 of Wands here. So with 9 of Wands, we have you're going to be moving into that place of, okay, now I kind of see what's going on here. This is the card that I thought this was. So we spoke pretty in depth about boundaries. Overcoming dark night of the soul is going to get you to a place. Going through this whole transformation process is going to get you to a place where your boundaries are going to be so solid. So what I would do if I was you, this is just what my prompting is as I'm kind of looking at how this just played out. And maybe it happened this way to put emphasis on it for you. That's my feeling, is to put emphasis on this for you. It is your dark night of the soul that is going to take you to that place of really having the ability to set boundaries and to see what those boundaries should be in real time in every present moment. Because as we know, wisdom is what gives us the ability to be able to use our discernment in every present moment to be able to navigate our way through all situations for the highest good of ourselves and the highest good of all of those around us. So your process that you're going through right now is going to create an environment that is so strong and so stable for you. And it is all going to come from all these experiences, your tower moment that, that you're letting go of, having the strength to endure through the dark night of the soul, and then tapping into the truth of who you are, seeing things with absolute clarity, regardless of how other people see it. And even if other people are triggered by it, and then stepping into that place of, you know what, I know who I am, and I will be graceful and amazing and strong, and I will stand in a place of leadership because I know myself and I know that divine source within me that truth resides through, which is the same truth for everyone. Okay, truth is truth again. And then there's the perception of truth. Perception of truth is where all arguments and fear of lack and everything, separation, comes from. So, all right, hopes and fears, divine feminine. What are your hopes and your fears? Knight of Swords. We have Knight of Swords here. Oh, and it's Knight of Swords in reverse. You have some fears about people not treating you right or not seeing you for who you really are. Your hopes, I actually think, have been completely addressed through this reading. But within you, there's still a fear. Like, even as you're listening to this reading, there's still a fear within you of like, well, yeah, but can I do it? Maybe other divine feminines can do it, but can I do that? Or is this really for me? Do I have what it takes you know, people always see me this way. I'm always looked at this way. I never seem to be able to get away from this feeling of being misunderstood by those around me. I might have the occasional person that I feel like gets me here and there, but most of the time I feel like people don't understand who I am. And there's sometimes some pretty serious repercussions for that. I think that you have a lot of fear around this that needs to be released and let go of. But I think that this whole entire reading is there to give you hope, because this fear is just an illusion and it is being conquered as we speak. It's the whole purpose of the twin flame experience. And, you know, it's the ego that thinks it has to try, and it's the soul that knows that it already is. There is no trying because it already exists within reality. It's just about tuning your frequency into that reality that already exists, where that fear does not live. Okay? You are reality transurfing, jumping timelines into the potential outcome that you want. Speaking of which, what is your potential outcome? And honestly, I never do this, but I just had 2 cards as I was saying that fall out of the deck. So we're actually going to look at 2 cards right now for your potential outcome, because I just feel like there must be a reason for that. All right, we have an interesting pair here, because with 3 of Cups in reverse, it kind of looks a little bit like what your fears were. Too much gossip, not enough support, people just kind of having like a, you know, partyish sort of judgmental, you know, thinking that they know it all attitude. But then we have the Emperor coupled with that, which is respect, leadership, you know, being a authoritative figure. We've talked about both of these in this reading at several different places. And so I think it's pretty interesting that both of these flew out of the deck together. They both landed upside down. I picked them up and flipped them over. And I think with your potential outcome, it's showing right now that this may be something that you have dealt with in the past. But this is what it is being replaced with. This is what you're moving into. This is your destiny, your birthright, okay? And it is that for everyone. Now, how it manifests is different for each one of us, because we're all here as unique points of light with a soul purpose and a mission to accomplish, right? The universe doesn't make mistakes. We're created and go through things the way that we do for a reason, because it gives us a unique perspective that helps us to bring something into this world that no one else can, because no one else can see things from your perspective because they haven't walked on your path. Which is why I think these cards being here together are awesome, because this is the worldly perspective of you through your own perceptions, through things that you've been told, things that you've been taught, what other people have tried to convince you of or manipulate you through. And this is you standing in your truth, the light and the power of who you really are. And that came out on top. It's going to trump that. And this is who you are. This is your light, divine feminine. This is the purpose of your journey. Okay? And you're bringing something very special into this world as the divine feminine that you are. And no one else can do it. No one else can make that happen. Only you can make that happen. And I love that. I think that's super cool. I've never seen that happen before, where it just kind of popped out like that. So that is something special. And for some reason, I'm feeling the push to pull out my Abraham Hicks cards again. Maybe there's some travel or something in your future. We talked a little bit about reality transurfing, timeline hopping. That's all travelers, right? I think we are all travelers. I oftentimes refer to people that I come across that have gone through a spiritual awakening as a fellow traveler. We are, you know, some people call us, you know, star people or light, you know, light bringers, but we're all travelers, right? We're here with a purpose. We're here for a reason. We have traveled into this reality. We will travel out of it. And we are learning. We're dreamers. We're travelers. We are going from realm to realm. And we are learning and contributing along the way. You are the path weavers. Okay. So let's see. What does Abraham Hicks have for us today? Okay, that's the one right there. Thank you, Abraham. I love Abraham Hicks. I really do. All right. I understand. Are you freaking kidding me? Okay, I know I say this all the time, and that's probably like, for those of you that watch my readings, it's redundant. I get it, but Jesus, could you get any cooler than that? How does it keep leveling up and topping it off? I don't know. I don't know. The universe, God, source, it's wonderful, amazing, and unbelievable. Okay, look. We're talking about Alice in Wonderland, okay? In Alice in Wonderland, she falls asleep under a tree. She's going into a dream. What did I start this reading out as, you guys? My first question that I proposed to you is, do you understand the rules of the game? Do you know how to play the game? I said to you. I just went through this whole thing, had this prompting at the end to grab my Abraham Hicks deck. I shuffled it even differently than I normally do. And then as I was doing it, this one like that and popped out. I pulled it out. Look at it. I understand the rules of the game of life. I literally have like goosebumps just like running through me right now. I actually feel a little emotional about it because when things like this happen, I know that there are those of us that really, really needed to hear the message today. As a reader, I experience different things as I'm doing the reading. And sometimes, you know, my own ego steps in and it's like, well, I don't know if I like this reading as much as your other readings and blah, 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 right? But I know that if it's coming out, then it's because it's somebody that needs to hear it. And oftentimes my readings are things I need to hear, right? I learn these messages right along with you guys because we're all in this together, student, teacher simultaneously. And so the fact that this card, it's what I proposed to you before we even started the reading. And then the fact that the miracle of this card showing up right now in the same reading, you cannot make this stuff up. You cannot deny that there is something bigger that can see around corners that we can't. And that is just constantly saying, look, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to that which is within you. Alice in Wonderland, the set that I chose today, goes on a journey within and realizes, you know, all these things about who she is. That is the journey of life that you are on right now. And you are, in a sense, playing a game, right? Because this isn't base reality. This is like a hologram. We are here to learn and experience. And death is an illusion. And you are waking up to that illusion. You're understanding through your spiritual awakening and the guidance from Source, from having even met your twin flame, which wouldn't have happened if you weren't ready, if you didn't have the strength to go through this. It's to show you the divine miracle and beauty that you are, okay? And so now that I understand the rules of this game of eternal life, now that I understand the powerful law of attraction and deliberate creation, I can pre-pave segment by segment my life experience into becoming the allower I was born to be. For I was destined to a life of fulfillment and never-ending joy. That's your birthright. That's where your journey is taking you. I really, really love you guys because I know that we're all family. Whether I've ever met you or not, we are all family. We are all here together. And we're so blessed to be able to share this point in time together. So thank you for being here with me. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.